Hey, what's good, y'all? It's OG Cuicide. Want to welcome y'all to OG Cuicide in the building, episode 8, with my loved one, Kalisha Perera.
Yes, Perera. What's up? We in the building. We here.
We in the building, loved one. It's long overdue,
Long overdue.
for us to be in the building.
Yes.
So definitely, thanks for coming out from your busy schedule.
Thank you. We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
I made sure to make time. You said, does this day work for you? Yes, only for you.
Thank you so much, and I highly appreciate
Thank
that.
you for having me.
Appreciate that. My show is based on mental health, focusing on mental health, trying to be the face of never give up. And it's been working. The show, since I released the show, it's been working. It's really been helping people, and that's definitely a good thing. Yeah. But one thing I haven't touched on yet is my ladies. Not only men go through depression, but ladies go through depression as well.
We do.
So I definitely want to, let's go into a time where you was actually going through like a serious depression, and what did you do to pull yourself out?
I mean, man, there's been a couple times for sure. I would say, mental health hasn't been something people have really been paying attention to as of recently, right?
Yes.
So then now that more people are talking about it, you do dial back and you're like, man, I remember that one time that I was going through this and I was going through that. So one of those times was, a lot of people don't know this. Some people know, some people don't. But it's something I talk about, here and there, especially to friends. I've talked about it on camera a few times. But I got married when I was 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got married when I was 21, and it was just head over heels. This was, when you know, and this was the guy for me. And, we got married. We knew each other only for a couple of months. Got married, and I was catching him cheating like month after month after month for an entire year. And while I was going through that, I felt like I was crazy. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like, what can I do to make this better? It was a lot of arguments, a lot of up and down emotions, a lot of, trying to figure it out, like a mental battle. I wouldn't say I went as far as considering, suicide, but it was a really deep, depression,
dark place.
Dark place, constantly setting alarms in the middle of night to wake up and go through his phone. It was pretty intense,
Wow.
Following locations and showing up and catching him at the park with, another woman. And it was really sad, a really sad time. And even when I was going through, obviously went through a divorce. When I was going through divorce, I got super skinny, and I was the skinniest I've ever been. I was 108 pounds, and everyone's like, Kalisha, wow. You're so thin. What's
they was wondering
going on?
Was you on drugs?
Yeah, they're like, what's going on? I was like, no, it's just the job that I have. I was at the time I was working at Nordstrom, so I was constantly on my feet, running around up and down stairs all day long. And I'm like, no, it's just work. But when you think about it, it's no, when you're going through some kind of depression, it takes a toll
on you,
on your body, your hair, you're losing weight, you're not dialed into, what you love. Even during that time, I gave up, being in the industry too. I was working at Nordstrom's, working in childcare centers.
Yes.
I was still going to school for radio, television, and film, but I was not being who I was, not loving myself and chasing after my dreams. I was chasing after a life of what somebody else wanted for me. He said to me, he's like, I don't want you in the spotlight. I don't want you doing that. At the time,
so you stopped completely.
Completely stopped.
But did you stay in school, or you stopped school too?
No, I stayed in school. That was one thing.
That was one thing you stuck with, but everything else.
Yeah.
Stopped coming around. No parties. No nothing.
None of that. I was in Oceanside, so it was 40 minutes away from San Diego. So I just go, to Gaslamp, but it wasn't LA and being in the scene and being surrounded by, those
where the parties at.
Exactly,
yes.
The industry, and chasing after, eventually what my life became. It just stopped. It completely stopped. And even going through that breakup, I was crying, and I was happy, then I was sad, and I was happy and sad. It was up and down emotions, up and down emotions. Yeah, very roller coaster. I'm not ready for this. And I would tell my mom, I'm not ready. I want to stick it out. But they're no, you have to leave this situation. You really do. And, as years passed, I learned to forgive and move
Okay.
forward from that.
Move on.
And move on and really understand, okay, was this person really trying to hurt me, or did they not love themselves? And that's what really came down to, because I don't think people are really thinking in those moments that they're making certain decisions.
The spare moment,
they're not thinking like this is
that
going.
mood you in right then and there.
Exactly. They're not thinking this is going to hurt this person. They're just thinking about themselves, really. They're thinking about themselves and how that choice is going to make them feel, especially, men or women, when they're in that moment and they're cheating or they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. They're thinking about how that's going to make them feel, and that's going to make them feel good in that moment they do it. And then who knows, maybe they're thinking like, hey, like, when it's over, like, damn, I fucked up. Like, this is really going to hurt them, or maybe not.
So either that or like, you know what? I need to get out more.
Yeah. And it really comes down to like self-love. Like, he wasn't, loving himself at that time. He had issues. He had problems.
Okay.
And, that was about 8 years ago. And, fast forward to today, we finally had a conversation 8 years later. 8 years later. And he opened up and he was like, I had a problem. Like, I had an issue. And I was like, your issues caused me issues at the time.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for me to heal as well. But one thing about myself, I would say I don't hold on to that hurt anymore.
Okay.
It took me a long time to...
So what was some of the things that kind of like, that you done to help you shift in another direction to where it wasn't still taking a toll on you? That kind of like, let's say, healed the pain.
It was getting back to who I was.
Okay.
Getting back to who I was.
In the industry.
Yeah, doing what I love, chasing my dreams, and then achieving those dreams, like actually living out my dreams and knowing like, okay, this is where I was actually supposed to be. I was there, but that was just a learning lesson. Like, I was supposed to be there to learn how to probably love myself.
Yes.
And how to, love someone who was supposed to come into my life. I did learn a lot in that relationship, and maybe it hurt me, but I also learned
it was a lesson.
Yeah, it was a lesson. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to do different things, and I feel like those things helped me cope, because I was thinking about the positive. Okay, that was a bad situation, but what are the positive things that I got out
in
of
the
that
situation? Okay.
And that really helped me through. And then also thinking like, why did this person do this to me? Like, they were just young, naive, they didn't know what they were doing. And I never put any blame, on him. It was just like, you know what? We were both young, we were both young and dumb and in love, and we made a decision.
And you said within like 2 months, y'all got married?
Yeah, so I met him in September.
Love, for sure.
Oh, deep in love, like crazy in love. And I met him September, like first week of September, and we married like the second week of November. It was crazy, 2014. And yeah, like it was, I always say it was like, honestly, when I think back now, during that time, it was like, I was in a dark place, like completely a dark place. Like, I wasn't loving myself. Like, who does that? Who puts themselves through that? If someone's really sorry, and when they make a mistake, they're going to be sorry, and they're not going to continue making that mistake over and over and over. I didn't love myself.
Yes.
I didn't love myself at all.
And I guess it took you to go through that to pretty much, learn. It was like a lesson learned, and definitely.
Yeah.
And you got through it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I got through it.
You back doing what you love to do. You back in the industry, back, making positive steps and positive moves in life. So that's definitely a good thing. But, like I said, I always want to, get a female perspective of times that they've been through depression as well. Because even with single mothers, go through depression, being in a household where, they've had someone in the household, and then this person is no longer there. So now it's like they're there to fend for their kids, on their own without that support, without that structure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I'm not a mother yet. I do want to be a mother one day, but that's actually a big reason why I haven't had children yet, because I don't want to end up, a single mother. I don't want to end up, raising a child on my own, or having a child with the wrong person either, because that's a big deal to me. Like, I was raised by, divorced parents. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2.
Oh, wow.
And so my mom was, a single mother, raising me. She had me Monday through Friday. And then
You
I'd
have
go to my
siblings, or
dad's.
you the only child?
Yes, I have a brother.
Okay.
And I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. But one of the brothers was from a new marriage because my dad got remarried.
Oh, okay.
And then the other siblings are because my mom got remarried as well. But yeah, that was really difficult for me. And again, going back to like in those moments during that time, I didn't realize like how it affected me. I just kind of didn't know any different. I didn't know, okay, you're being raised by a single mom, basically. Like my dad was always present. My dad was always there for me.
Okay, was always there for you though, but just
had,
not in the same household.
Exactly. Like he had an easy way out. My mom gave him an easy way out. Like, look, let me just take my daughter to Australia.
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
like, let me just take our daughter to Australia. You don't have to worry about it. Move on with your life, because my mom was born in Australia.
Oh, okay.
And my dad was like, hell no.
You're not doing that.
Yeah, you're not doing that. You're not taking my daughter away from me. So he was always there in my life, just not in the same household.
Understood.
But what made it difficult was seeing my mom hurt by what happened and what caused them to divorce. Like me being the only person who was just there family-wise for her to like vent to. And she didn't know no better. Like she was 26 when she had me and like 28 when she got a divorce. Like, turning 29.
Yeah.
So now I'm 29 and now I'm understanding like at 29, although, she had a child, we're still maturing. We're still growing. We're still learning. We're still, we act out of emotion.
It wasn't a lot you didn't understand, but seeing her cry and actually going through it, to provide.
Exactly. So she went, through her emotions, and I saw that. Like I saw that, and obviously didn't understand it at the time. But as I got older and started like really paying attention to certain things that was happening.
What age would you say that was when you really took that real notice? Like, wow.
I think it was probably when I was 21 turning 22.
Oh,
and
wow.
because she hated my dad for a long time. A long time. Like she wouldn't speak to him. She had his number. I laugh at it now, but she had his number saved in her phone as asshole. Like she hated him. She was so angry.
Yes.
Like she was so angry, and I never understood. I'm like, why do you hate him so much? And I till this day I don't understand why she hated him. Like, how can you hold on to that anger for so long? Like it just never made sense to me. But I mean, everyone and maybe it was part of her depression that she went through, and maybe that she picked that up from her mother, because I feel like my grandmother, who's my mom's mom, that she went through a really bad depression.
Okay.
She's on depression pills right now, and she doesn't even know it.
And she's on pills right now for depression?
My grandmother is literally on pills right now for depression, and I think that stems from her living a life that she wasn't happy with, settling down, getting married young, having kids, stay-at-home mom. She wasn't allowed to drive. She wasn't allowed to have a job. And, it was just like, this is your life. That's what it is. And, I'm half Greek. So when you come from that background too, it's like, you don't divorce. Like you marry and that's it. And that's your life.
And you stick in there.
And you stick it in. And, she just... the signs of the depression were always there, but she was never like clinically looked into, but it was just all there.
So you actually seen a lot of the signs?
First-handedly, for sure. And I want to say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like people who are depressed have a really a hard sense of control. Like they want to control a lot of situations. It's a lot of up and down emotions, a lot of attention seeking, because they're seeking like some kind of validation in a way.
Yeah. Definitely are like cries for help.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people don't take heed to that. They overlook that, and then that just drives a person even more into depressed mode.
Yeah,
and definitely. That it makes the situation worse, because a lot of people do cry out for help. Because when I was going through depression, but me, I wouldn't really say I cried for help, but there was signs. Because I used to just want to stay to myself a lot when normally I was a people's person.
Yeah,
and then to go into a mode of like, I don't want to be bothered with nobody. But a lot of people didn't take heed or didn't take notice to it. Until after the fact it happened, And I actually, attempted suicide, and it was like, oh wow, like, man, we didn't really know you was going through it like that. Well, I mean, I was homeless. I was, my life was really bad at the time. So the signs was there. And then, like me, I would always hide mine behind a smile. That was my thing. Like, smile all the time. So, person actually didn't even know what I was going through.
Right.
They're like, no, man, I just seen him, man. He was good, man. We was over there chilling, and he was laughing, and but in the inside, it was like, it was hurt.
Yeah, like broken, and you don't understand like what's going on, and it's hard to talk about it sometimes. Like, it's really like,
well, it's who do you talk to?
Yeah, it's a sense of embarrassment. It's a sense of like, maybe like, I know some people's depression comes from, putting themselves in bad situations and not knowing like how to get out of them, and then keeping it to themselves because they vented so much about it, and it's like, okay, now I'm embarrassed because I keep putting myself in this situation and it's leading me into an unhappy space. So they just keep it to themselves.
But you can't talk to everybody, because nowadays, you tell a person how you feel, and, they jump on the phone and tell everybody. It's everywhere.
Yep.
Instead of embracing that person and sitting down with that person, and that's one thing what I push hard, to be, and I push so hard to be that person that people can talk to and not be looked down on, not be judged, because I'm not going to judge nobody, because I know what it feels like to want to end it all. I've been in them shoes, and, I get a lot of phone calls from different people and messages, and they be like, man, I don't want to discuss this with my family, and I feel like you somebody that I can actually talk to about it, and I embrace them. I talk to them, and give them the best advice, in the world. And then another thing I do, I follow up with them. I go back and check on them, a week down the line or whatever, 2 weeks down the line, just to make sure that they function and that they still good. And it's all about, when you're going through something, you got to figure out a way to pull yourself out of a hole.
Yeah.
And not go into panic mode, because a lot of people that I talk to, they panic from the gate. It's over.
Yeah.
But then if you're somebody that can actually paint a picture for them that they can visualize, it kind of like takes a little pressure off of them.
Yeah.
A little relief, a sign of relief is very important to somebody that's going through it.
Yeah. I have to agree with you there. I have to agree with you there, because it seems like this is the end of the road, and there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to turn, and you might come from different areas. You might break up, or you lost a family member, or you lost your job, or you spent all the money in your account, you gambled it all away.
Yes.
And it's just like, what now? Like, what do I do now? Or like, there's so many different things, and I think the best way to kind of pull yourself out of that before you get into that hole of depression is to realize that things get better. Things get better. Like, another time that I was dealing with like a really dark time was during the pandemic.
Yes,
like,
the pandemic was bad for a lot of people.
That was pretty bad, especially like for me, and a lot of other people. I'm not gonna say like I had it the worst, but I had a job and I left that job. I worked at another job. I left that, and I was like, you know what? Let me chase my dreams. One of those things. Let me chase my dreams. At the same time, I was working at Power 106, and I started at a startup like TV news company. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this is one of my dreams. Like, television.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. This is great. And the company went under because of the pandemic. Who was going to be, watching TV? Who was, like, are they going? And it was new, right? So how do you get something off the ground? Like, obviously people are watching TV and all that during the pandemic, but how
this is new.
Yeah, it's new. So how do you get something like that off of the ground during a time like this, especially with financing? Who's going to be putting money into this? It was just a lot. So they ended up going under, and I ended up losing that gig. And I was sitting there like, okay, like, what am I doing now? I was working part-time at Power. So I was like, that's not enough to pay my bills. Like, even with my savings, I had just bought a condo. So I dumped all the money I saved into purchasing this place. And I'm like, okay, this is a really interesting time. And I was telling my friend, I was like, this is the worst time of my life. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I have no job. Like, my savings is like not there no more. Did you panic? I was panicking. I was really panicking. And she's like, Kalisha, it's all going to work out. Like, trust me on this.
Yes.
And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? She's like, it's all going to work out. Trust me. Like, you're going to be good. I was like, okay. And it all worked out. It all worked out.
Took a little time, or
yeah, you know what? I wouldn't even say it took a lot of time, and that's actually when I started my PR marketing company.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because of her, I had a website, so I started writing, you know, on my website, you know, blogs, and then, you know, I started, you know, getting in contact with different artists, and like one thing led to the next, and they were asking for me to do more things and more things. So I'd, you know, get this contact, get that contact, and the guy that I was with at the time, he knew some people in the industry too, so he was like connecting me with that too. And yeah, it was just a time. It was a time. But I look back now and I'm like, that was supposed to happen. You know, that was supposed to happen. I was supposed to go through that. You know, God
made
put
you a
me,
stronger person.
Yeah, God put me in that uncomfortable place, you
Yes.
know, to birth what I was supposed to be doing.
Yes.
You know? And,
Yes.
you know, I had to mentally keep strong, because that could have really like just
That's the most important part,
derailed me.
the mental part of it. And, you know, I tell people that, like, definitely things are going to get better, you know, and I also always let people know, like, you can't really say when you're going to be successful. You know, you can't really put a time frame on it. You just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, moving forward, and actually going after your dream. You can't wait for it, because it's definitely not going to walk to you. So you got to go get it.
Yeah.
And life is not meant to be easy. That's another thing I like to express.
Yeah.
Because if life was, you know, just easy, then, you know, it would be easy for everybody. But that's too much like perfect.
Exactly.
So life definitely is not meant to be easy. And things that you're going to go through, is, I tell them, it's a part of your testimony. You know, how did you come out of this situation that you was in, and you didn't let it really just take a toll on you, and you shut down.
Yeah.
Because some people shuts down completely. You know, like no zero to 100, from 100 to 0.
Yeah. No, I have some friends, you know, who are like that, who have gone through that, or even guys that I've dated. It's like, you know, we have one small, you know, issue, or, you know, problem or whatever, and they're going through what they're going through, you know, personally, and they just shut off from the world. Like, don't pick up calls, don't respond to texts, like, you know, slacking on work. Like, they just completely emotionally and mentally like shut down. And I like to feel that, like, at one point I probably been that way, but you can't be that way. You can't just shut the whole world out. That's scary.
But again, I say, it's like a lot of people feel like, who do you talk to?
Yeah.
Because when you feel like, you know, even me, it was like, okay, who I was in the neighborhood, it was like, okay, well, who do I actually let know that I feel this way? I'm in this dark spot, and who do I talk to? So that's a key thing, you know, and I'm so glad that, you know, the OG Cuicide in the building is definitely, you know, it's a safe place.
It is.
You know, for people to come, they can reach out to me. Like I said, I'll never judge them. I'll never look at them no kind of way, you know, in a negative way. I'm definitely going to hear them out, because some people want to be, you know, want somebody to listen to them.
Right.
You know, a ear. You know, an ear that's definitely going to listen and not cut them off and, oh, man, you sound dumb, man. You this and that. No, I'm going to listen to them, you know, and I'm going to hear them out and hear what they got to say. And I'm going to give them some definitely good advice. Sometime, you know, what I also try to embed in people is, you can't get out of your situation if I give you some good advice and you steady shoot negative thoughts back, you know, now it's like we're on a ping pong table and we're going back and forth. And it's like, well, if you're going to continue to think negative, then how do you expect to get out of this situation? You have to start thinking positive. If you don't have a positive mind frame, then you're just going to stay stuck in that mode, and you're not going to want to do nothing, because you think something good, but then you turn around and think something bad. It's like having two people sitting on your shoulders, you know, a positive and a negative sitting on your shoulders, and you constantly listening to the negative and not the positive. And they be like, you know what, you're right, man. It makes a lot of sense. Because, you know, when I'm talking to them, and, you know, I really be trying to get through to them. But they like, no, it's not going to happen. I tried this, I tried that. I said, well, don't stop there. You know, because I had a gentleman that reached out to me recently, and he was in panic mode because he just lost his job. I don't know how I'm pay my bills. And I'm like, well, what do you do every day? He said, well, man, I'm just mostly in the house. I said, well, you'll never find a job like that.
Right.
You know, he said, well, I put in applications online. You know, I said, well, let me tell you something. If you really go out into the public and you go look, you'll see a lot of places say now hiring. Everywhere you go, you see the signs, you know, and I'm like, yeah, putting in an application is cool online, but actually going there physically and letting them see who you are in person, you might get hired on the spot. Yeah. And he was like, you know what? It's a spot I used to work for, man, like a boxing place, man, where, you know, they put stuff in boxes and for shipment. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I said, make sure you do that. Like, don't just say it. Really do it. Because send me a picture. I told him, send me a picture of you there.
There you go. You hold
that way I know. He sent me a picture. Wow. And he hit me the very next day and was like, man, my old boss hired me. I said, now, what if you'd have kept just sitting and waiting, you know, for a job to come through? I like, do you know companies get a lot of applications via email? Like, that's the thing now. But they don't get a lot of people that actually come in a physical form, which you need to do. And he did, and he was happy. And he good. He started work that same day.
I love it.
Same day.
You held him accountable.
I held him accountable. Yeah. And that's what I do. I'm like, I'm going to give you the advice, but at the same time, you know, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to follow up with you to make sure you're doing what you say you're going to do. Like, you know, this advice is important. You know, and if you're going to listen to me, then I want you to actually take heed to it. I want you to actually go do what you're going to say. Like, don't wait on it. Get out there. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many times do you say you would like talk to some of these people? Because like you said, they sometimes keep having those negative thoughts. Yes. Right?
Yes.
So how many times do you think it takes to really get through to somebody in a way? Because I've had those issues with certain friends where they just are constantly in a negative mind frame, and they constantly believe like just this
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, this sucks. I'm like, you got to look at things from a different perspective, and it's hard to get through to them sometimes.
It is, but you gotta. It's like putting a nail in the wall. You know. Sometime on the beam, it's harder for the nail to go in than the regular side of the wall. So you got to keep hitting that hammer, you know, until that nail go in that beam. Yeah. You know, and that's what I do. You know, like I'll sit on the phone with them for a while, and before I actually get off the phone with them, I know for sure that they've took a fresh breath of air. I like that. And they feel different. Yeah. About themselves. Yeah. You know, another gentleman as well, he lost his job, you know. And a lot of times it kind of, you know, either a person is, I'm trying to get off drugs, which I've talked people into going to rehab. Wow. I'm trying to get off alcohol, or I just lost my job and I don't know what to do. And my apartment, I'm finna get kicked out. He was like, man, I'm about to get kicked out, man. I don't know what to do. OG, I just had to call you to, man, what kind of advice do you have for me, man? I'm finna get, you know, evicted. And I said, well, you know, it normally takes 30 days for them to evict you, right? He's like, well, yeah, I know that, but man, they're gonna put me out. I said, look, let me tell you, you say you do have a part of your rent, right? He was like, yeah, well, I do got a part of it, man, but I don't have a job. You know, I'm going to end up having to sleep in my car. I said, well, look, why don't you just go to the office and talk to them? Let them know what you're going through. I just lost my job, but I know I'm going to get another job. I don't have my full rent, but here is something. Right. Can y'all at least work with me? He hit me. Man, you was right, man. They told me they'll give me a month, you know, to really get it together, to get back working. But he was in panic mode. He like, man, I don't see what's the reason for me to continue to live, man. I'm finna be sleeping in my car. I said, even though you feel like you're gonna be sleeping in your car, guess what? You're gonna still have a roof over your head. You know, a lot of people are stuck on the bigger picture. Yeah. You know, it's about the little picture. When you go and you sit down to draw something, it starts off, you know, as a small picture, and the more you add to it, the picture become a bigger picture. But you got to start small, which I tell them, like, that's the most important part. But everybody is stuck on the big picture. No, I got to be rich tomorrow, man. I got to do this tomorrow. It's not going to happen like that. Yeah. You know, I tell them, I don't mind being the turtle in the race with the rabbit because I'm going to win in the end. There you go. So just stay focused and appreciate, like, some cats that hit me be like, man, I'm working, man, but it ain't nothing, you know. I'm working for crumbs. All it's doing is paying the bills and keeping a roof over my head. I said, rewind what you just said and say it one more time. Well, man, it's just paying the bills and keeping a roof over my head. I said, now, visualize this. You didn't have that job to pay them bills and keep that roof over your head. Have you ever thought about that? He said, I ain't never looked at it like that. It's you stuck on, okay, I'm working here, but I need to be working for this company where I'm in the corporate office under the AC. He like, man, I'm loading boxes all day. I said, imagine if you wasn't loading boxes and you didn't have a job. What would you be doing? He like, man, I don't know what I'll be doing. I said, appreciate that job you have because it's a lot of people would love to have a job. Yeah. That job you say is nothing. There's a lot of people in this world would love to have that nothing job.
Yeah. It's interesting because as I'm listening to you talk, it sounds like I see the kind of the pattern of where men fall into depression, where women fall into depression.
Yes.
For men, it seems that, you know, a lot of their depression comes from either drugs or,
alcohol, work. Yes, work related.
As men, you know, it's like a social construct where you're like, men have to be the providers. Men have to, you know, have great jobs, and men have to, you know, do this, and this. Like there's like this social construct of
plateau,
what men are supposed to be. And then with women, there's this social construct of what women have to be. Like you have to, you know, get married and, you know, have kids and
this beautiful life with the white picket fence
and like stay with, you know, the guy that you got married to, or stay with the guy you had a child with. And if you don't, you're looked down upon depending on, you know, how you grow up and how you were raised. And, you know, a lot of women will stay, you know, in a relationship where they're unhappy just because they want to prove something to either society or to their parents or family
and make themselves more miserable.
Yeah, and they're in that process. Exactly. They're making themselves more miserable, more unhappy, but it's like a ripple effect because then that takes an effect on the children. It takes effect on, you know, their work, on what they're doing. It takes effect on how they take care of themselves, on how they upkeep themselves. And then, you know, a lot of times they'll fall into depression, start gaining weight, losing hair, and then they fall more into depression because now they're overweight, now they're losing hair, now they're not taking care of, you know, what they look like. And that it just becomes like a ripple effect of issues, problems, depression, and
depression is all the same thing, but it's different.
Yeah,
you know, from the ladies and like you said, from the man, it's definitely different. Mm-hmm. You know, and but it's still, you know, the same thing. And depression don't discriminate, just like suicide don't discriminate.
It does not.
You know, it don't care what color you are. If it's in a person that want to end it all, it don't matter who they are. Yeah. You know, and I expressed on my my last show what I'm starting to see a lot is our young people. You know, our young people like 8 years old, 7 years old that's want to kill themselves, want to commit suicide. Yeah. You know, male and female. You know, from cyberbullying. Yeah,
that's a big thing. That's a big thing. So I was in middle school at the time where like the internet and social media was, you know, kind of getting big.
Okay.
And I think it was MySpace or Facebook that was like coming. I want to say it was MySpace.
MySpace.
Some of the kids made a fake page of me and called it Big Nose.
No, they bullied you. You was being bullied. Okay.
You know, they would talk about, oh, you're hairy, you're this, you're that. Because, you know, I had like, you know, hair on my legs and my arms and
strong genes.
Yeah,
huh?
You know, I'm Sri Lankan and Greek, so we got hair. You know, that's why I got Florida hair. You know, nice eyebrows. You know, I got made fun of my bushy eyebrows. Now now girls want my eyebrows. I think getting tattooed on. And so they made, you know, a page, and I remember I would cry to my mom all the time, like they hate me. I have no friends. Like, and I feel, and that's another thing. I feel like if I didn't have like supportive family and a supportive mom, my mom, it would have been bad. It would have been so bad. Like my mom would come and pick me up from school. You know, we'd go have lunch together. Like I had
She pull up looking for him.
Yeah,
where they at?
Exactly.
You see them?
Like I had a mother that wasn't like, man, you know, it's okay, it's fine. Like, you know, just like brushing it off. It's fine. You're just, you know, they're just kids. They're just, you know, being bullied. Like she was like, no, like if you're feeling this way, I'm gonna come pick you up.
So it made you not want to go to school?
Yeah, it made me not want to go to school, and maybe not want to be there for lunch. It made me just want to be, you know, next to her. And what I loved about it when I look back is like she wasn't like brushing it off. A lot of parents brush it off.
Pay close attention.
They just brush it off like, they're just being kids. Like you're fine. Like, you know, hit them back or make fun of them back. And it's like, it's not that simple. It's not that simple at all. You need to feel that
when they're
love.
ganging up on you.
Yeah. Like I remember I had a friend, he was a boy. And even back then, I knew that he was like, you know, gay. I just knew it. I just felt it. I just knew it. There was no problem with that. But we would get teased that we were like boyfriend and girlfriend. And I'm like, dude, we're like in the second grade. Like, what do you mean boyfriend and girlfriend?
They didn't like you.
They just found little things just to always like just nitpick and make fun. And I don't know what
Did you
their
have like,
issue
when you were
was.
younger, did you have like this smart attitude with yourself? Like you knew you was pretty,
was
so you
bossy.
feel like you
I
was
was
better
bossy.
than everybody?
I was definitely bossy.
So it used to
remember
irritate
being
them?
bossy. Probably. I was definitely bossy, for sure.
So you played a part in that bully, huh? In that MySpace. Okay, we got something for you, huh? Okay, big nose.
But, you know, actually, to speak on that big nose thing, I wanted to bring that up because that took a toll on me.
But you don't have a big nose.
I got a nose job.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
so that
well, you
turned
picked
into,
a nice one.
There you go. That turned into me being insecure about that. And even my family, like my grandma, my cousins, they would make fun of me too about my nose. Like I have my daddy's nose. What am I gonna do?
So what was your name when you was little? Nosy?
Miti. Miti in Greek means nose.
Okay. Oh, okay. That was your nickname. So that really was your nickname. Nose. Okay. I never knew that. Okay.
So no, it wasn't my nickname. I'm just joking. But anyways,
okay.
I would always get like made fun of about that, and that took a toll. It took an effect on me.
Oh,
like
wow.
it led me to get, you know, a nose job to correct it and fix it because I was
Okay.
not
You like,
happy.
I'm getting rid of this, huh?
Yeah, like
Is that MySpace page still up?
I don't think so. I think
I'm just
I
clowning.
cleaned it up.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
clowning.
Maybe I should check.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, this ain't me no
my
more.
God, right.
You know?
Right. But yeah, that could have been bad. You know, that could have been bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And due to the cyberbullying, which a lot of people don't realize, like cell phones are raising our kids.
Yeah.
Are raising kids now. You know, like phones are actually becoming parents.
Yeah.
Oh, go get on your phone. I'm you know, they come on for work, tired,
iPad.
don't want to be, you know, bothered. Been a long day. Got into it with a coworker, and pretty much, you know, kids are on their phones and looking at everything.
They know too
They're
much.
getting into it.
Phones.
Yeah, they know a lot.
Too much.
They know a lot, and they're getting into it with people. You know, people are harassing them, and if you say anything, and I'm gonna beat you up when I see you at school tomorrow, and it's like they be scared to actually talk to their parents. You know, like with mine. You know, like my daughter, my 13-year-old Naya. You know, I look at what she's looking at, you know, when she's on YouTube or when she's in her phone. You know, I'm a creep up on her and I'm going to look and see what she has. She's not looking at nothing. She's into the roadblocks or anything. But I tell her, you know, her mom tell her too, even with the roadblocks, when people are talking to people on these games, you know, and never listen, you know, because people lure people in. So never listen to no one that's talking to you or nobody ever tell you, oh, meet me here at all, you know? So people have to get into their kids' business.
Yes.
It's your job to be in their business to see what they're looking at.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
But they're not. You know, a lot do, but for the most part, a lot don't. Yeah. And then when something tragic happened, it's like, oh, if I would have been, you know, if had more letters, it'd be a bigger word.
Yeah.
If I would have been paying attention. So it's, as parent, it's their job because phones are not parents.
Right.
Parents are parents.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot and I speak on it, you know. And I definitely got to speak on it because it's important. The world we live in, well, not even the world, but the people that's in the world that we live in of today. It's different.
And the phones and internet, that plays a role into depression as well, because then you have less social skills.
Yes.
So then you have less friends, less people to talk to, less ways to get across how you're feeling. Like,
Yes.
I know people who literally vent to the internet, that
wow.
vent to Twitter as their journal, because they have no one to talk to. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to get their emotions out. So they just vent to the internet, because that's just their only way of them knowing how to get their emotions out.
Let me tweet that real quick. This is how I feel.
Exactly.
And when we was coming up, our social media was outside.
Exactly.
That was our social media, man. We outside. Couldn't wait to get up in the morning to get out the house, or come home from school to get out the house. It's different now. It's way different.
Exactly.
It's way, way different.
Yeah, I do notice that a lot. Like, I do notice that, like, nowadays people, I hear it all the time. I hate talking on the phone. Text me. I hate talking on the phone. Text me.
And I'm old school. Pick your phone up.
Exactly.
I can't sit there and just all day text paragraphs. Like, I can't do that. I'd rather call you and say it.
Exactly. It's easier. It's quicker. It's faster.
Yeah, let me get it out the way.
You feel the energy, and then you don't have so much, like, information that's misconstrued or misunderstood.
Yeah, they done read it wrong.
Exactly.
Read it wrong.
In a different tone. It's like, I didn't mean it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you said it in all caps. You cussed me out. Like, what?
That's not the case. Like, that was an accident.
Autocorrect.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The way that a lot of people are living their lives these days in the internet, it's a huge factor. Like you were saying, like the cyberbullying and the, venting to the internet. Maybe something is said about somebody and then they see it and that's affecting them, especially with celebrities. They go through that a lot too.
Yes.
They do certain things in their life, and then, you have thousands of people that have something to say about it, and they're reading it.
And it's sad too, because, as a celebrity, they love you.
Yeah.
The minute something happened bad, you go to jail or you break up with somebody, man, they run you through the mud.
Mm-hmm.
They love you today, hate you tomorrow. And it's just a trip how the internet, man, when they lash out at you.
Mm-hmm.
When they attack you, you under full attack.
Oh, yeah.
Like war. They don't care.
No mercy.
No mercy at all. Then here come the memes.
Exactly.
Now you everywhere. Now you really over there. You're trending. Like
you can't even cry on television. You see, they have that Kim Kardashian meme of her crying.
Yes. Yeah.
She can't escape it.
Can't do nothing. Can't escape it.
Can't even cry. Can't even let your emotions out. You're made fun of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I tell people, like, don't worry about it, because when you look at your bank account, do you see a difference?
Exactly.
When they talk down on you or they say what they're going to say, when you look at your bank account, do you see a difference?
Right.
Well, I don't see a difference. Well, hey,
Exactly.
don't let it get to you.
Let's have more dollars in the account than followers.
Definitely. I mean, for real. Because, a lot of people, you got a lot of followers, and, I mean, what is it doing for you?
Yeah.
Some people, they say numbers is everything, but if some of them numbers is ghost, they don't count.
That's true. And, I was actually having this conversation, since we're on the topic of money, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I said, as a woman, you want to have the happiest life possible. You want to have, a man who can provide, who's a good father, that knows how to treat you well, that knows how to communicate. You want all these things. But at the same time, us women, we're like, okay, but being financially stable is also important, right?
It is.
It's super, super, super important. But then that man, might, maybe make 50K a year, 50 to 80K a year maybe. And then you might have, someone over here who, is a provider, great father, they're educated. They're basically pretty much the same exact person, but one makes more money, one makes less, but the one that makes less has more time, and the one who makes more has less time.
Yes.
So it's kind of like
pick and choose. You gotta choose.
What do you choose? You choose, someone that has more time for you, who can fulfill you in that way, or do you choose someone who for sure will give you a nice, comfortable life? And as women, that's always like a hard decision. You're like, okay, what do you go with? Do you go with, A, who makes less, or do you go with B? And I was having this conversation. I had this conversation with women, and I also had it with a man.
Yes.
And it was interesting to see the difference in opinions on on what the woman said and what the
Yes.
man said. Now, a couple women said, go with the guy with more money. And then another one said, go with the guy, with less money. At the end of the day, you're happy.
Yeah.
And I said, but both make you happy. One just has, less money and the other one has more.
Because if you want them Birkin bags and you want to be in the Louis store, then I ain't gonna be at home that much. I'm be gone a lot.
Exactly.
But if you cool just going to Macy's and just getting a cool little bag, then
There
okay,
you go.
I'm gonna be at the house.
There you go.
But no, you want that major
Right,
bag.
you
Got to get the major dollars.
Exactly. And so when I was talking to the guy was like, well, and he brought up a really good point that was a great perspective to have. He said, well, obviously go with the guy with more money, right? Obviously do that. And he said, but you have to realize that even though this person has more money but less time, that goes to speak to yourself too as a woman, right? Can you be in your own solitude and happy, not always being up underneath somebody and, attached by the hip? Like there's going to be times where, you're going to have to be like alone maybe, not all the time, but you have to be happy in your own space and on your own. Like you can't like be codependent. That's the word that he used.
Okay.
He was like, it's healthy and you cannot be codependent. It's important to have your space. And, it keeps the relationship alive too. So I was like, that's a really good perspective. And, and it goes back to also, having things that, keep you occupied because you can't be up underneath somebody all the time. That is dangerous too. Because that's what can turn some relationships into toxic relationships because
you're around each other so much.
Exactly. You're so attached. And that's what causes attachment issues. That's what causes attachment
But it's
issues.
good too if they both are working as well and both bringing the bag.
There you go.
Then when y'all do come together, it's like, okay, you're gonna spend that time because you both are.
Exactly.
You working here, but then when y'all get to the house, you can vibe together and you can spend that time together. That way, it's not one-sided.
Exactly. So it was an interesting conversation, an interesting thing to think about, and it was pretty. It was nice to have those two different perspectives.
Yes. Yes. Well, definitely, like I said, if you want that bag,
just saying.
Just
saying.
You always working late.
Yeah.
I'm actually at the office.
Exactly. And then I told the other person, would you want someone that's not doing anything or want someone that's actually really doing something?
Yes.
You gotta pick and choose. But it's not to say like they're both doing their thing. Like you said, they're both doing their thing. But yeah, it's tough for women, especially, they want to make sure they're making the right choice. And I would say that is like the hardest thing. Like you want to make sure you're picking the right life partner.
Yes.
Forget about the money. Forget about, what kind of job they have. Like, is this the right life partner for me? Is this person that I'm choosing going to make me the happiest? Am I going to feel, I'm living life in abundance with choosing this person? Because what does it matter? You have all these nice things and you live in a nice house and you wake up every morning and you're like, ugh, this person again.
Yeah. But then it goes to say also, like, there are also, men that stay at home and the woman is
my uncle,
the breadwinner.
That's my uncle.
Okay, see, your uncle, he stay at the house.
Yep.
The wife, she's the breadwinner. She's bringing home the bread, and he's taking care of the home while she's at work.
Yeah.
So, like, it also goes to say, like, what do they prefer? Like, they want that. Well, some men that stay at home, they have women that travel. That's go out of state. They work for advertising companies.
Right.
So they have to go to different states and meet with this big clients,
Yep.
To get that big check. So
Exactly.
it goes to say on both sides.
ends.
Like you got to pick which one you want, or you want the lady that work at the mall. And come home at around 5, 6 o'clock, and dinner's ready, or you got to pick, like you said, pick and choose.
You gotta
decide
gotta
what
decide.
lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
You want to
And
be
it's-
mad they gone, or you want to be happy they home.
Exactly. I like that saying. I like that. And it's a tough decision, and then, and then as women, you know, we're looked at, okay, if you're 30 and you're not in a relationship, you're not married, you have kids, what's wrong with you? You know, but I feel like now we live in a time where women are getting married later because, you know, they're, you know, having careers. Like back then, you know, it was women just got married and had babies and stayed at home. Now women are having careers.
It's different.
It's so different.
They're getting to their bags. Like,
bag.
you know what? I ain't ready for that right now.
Exactly. And it's important too because you need, as a woman, you need to have something for yourself. Like I was going back to the story about my grandmother. Like she didn't drive. She didn't have a job. Like she just raised the kids, cooked and cleaned. Wow. You know, and that led her to living a pretty depressed life. Like I said, she's on depression pills and she don't even know it. And they're helping. The
pills are helping?
Oh, yeah. The pills are helping. Like we saw a major difference. Major difference in her, you know, just her attitude and the quality of life.
It mellows her out?
Definitely mellows her out a lot.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
It's interesting.
Did you ever take depression pills?
No.
You was good?
No.
You
never had to take them.
couple glasses of wine and you was good?
There you go. I would say, you know what I did a lot of times? I buried myself in my work. I buried myself in
to block it out.
I buried myself in my work and I was just like chasing my dream, doing what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be because I knew where I wanted to go. And I knew that, and school too. And that's how I was raised as well. Like, you know, be educated, have a career, have your own money, have your own things. So that's something that no one can ever take away from you. So I never searched for, you know, like a financial stability or like, you know, to be with someone because I needed help with, you know, with bills. So I never searched for that. I always had, you know, things for myself that I could support myself. So I think that. So
whether if the person was in your life or not,
I'm not losing.
Good. You're not dependent on that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm not losing. So, you know, if I'm with someone and it doesn't work out, like I'm still gonna be good if you are in my life or you're not in my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So have life been for you now though? Like
life's been good. You know, life's been good, especially, you know, now being an entrepreneur, still doing radio, but then also being an entrepreneur, running my own PR marketing company. You know, being an entrepreneur, that can be ups and downs. Like you have good months, bad months. You know, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. You got to know how to, you know, kind of work with different types of people.
Yeah, because some people will flake fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, y'all have that payment Friday. Never hear from them again.
Exactly. So, you know, that, you know, like I would say, you know, business is good, you know.
That's good.
Business is good. We've been doing a lot of major things for, you know, different artists. Like certain artists have charted. You know, that's been a major accomplishment for a lot of my artists, you know, having them do that. You know, having them, you know, getting their music played on the radio. That's been fun.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah, that's been really fun. And that's what makes me happy at the end of the day, just seeing other people happy. You know, if I can get you towards your dreams, that's what fulfills me.
And don't forget, because, you know, we live in a time where a lot of people be so ungrateful.
Oh, my God.
You help them, you know, get to a certain peak, and it's like you never helped them.
Exactly.
They don't even mention it.
Yeah. They'll forget real quick.
Never forget where you came from.
They'll forget real quick. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But at the end of the day, as long as you know that your intention was pure and your intention was, you know, good, and you had, you know, their best interests at heart, and you were doing it just because you wanted to do it, not because you wanted anything out of it.
Exactly. From the heart, you know? Yeah. But some people feel like, oh, man, the grass greener over there. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then they try to come back, and it's like, no, go back over there and water that dirt.
Exactly.
That clay dirt you thought was green was a mirage, huh? Yeah.
Exactly.
Peace out.
And that's just kind of how I am sometimes too. Like I'll hear certain things of whatever someone has said or their opinion or whatever, and I just peep game like, oh, okay, that's your character.
Yes.
Oh, you said that. Oh, that's how you talk about people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna keep myself over here. We cool. Like we know.
Yeah.
I don't hate you. You know, we cool, but. You know, I know I'm gonna move accordingly.
Well, me personally, I don't shake their hands when they put it out there. Like if we ain't cool, we ain't cool. I ain't shaking your hand. I ain't doing that fake stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I just can't. I ain't gonna feel right because I don't want that stuff to rub off on my skin.
That part.
You know what I mean? So
that part. Yeah.
Keep a distance.
What's up? Hey, I see you. Okay.
I ain't even saying what's up. You know, as positive as I am, but there's just certain people. It's like I can't do it.
I feel you on that.
You know,
I feel you on that.
I got love for you, but just not around me.
I like that. I like that. I like
Definitely, loved one. This definitely was amazing. Sit down
Yes,
with you,
it
loved
was.
one. I highly appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule.
Yours too.
Hey, well,
You're
you know.
super busy, and I'm so proud of you. All that you've done. I know we're talking off camera, and I know you were doing this on your own, on live. You were saying,
Yes.
and now
Yes.
you're here
Yes.
making major moves, and you deserve all your blessings.
For the past 15 years, I've been, pushing to be that face of never give up.
I love it.
You know, because I know what it feels like to want to take your life.
Right.
And I want people to also know what it feels like to know it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And that's what I push hard to embed in people. It's going to get better.
It always
Don't
does.
worry about it. It always does.
It always does.
Always. And the key thing is never give up. And one of my quotes that you can quote definitely that I live by, a hospital not the only thing with patients. You can quote that.
I like that.
I'm OG Cuicide. This is OG Cuicide in the building. Episode 8 with my loved one. And what's your last name?
Kalisha Perera. You can follow me
Perera.
on IG. No more underscore. My IG used to have an underscore.
Yeah, I see you.
I saw that.
Yeah, check
so
you out. You brand new.
had to get it fixed, okay?
Brand new.
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah. Appreciate it. And shout out to my loved one, man, Nutso, man, for the shirt, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Peace.